Let me take you down memory lane just for 7 seconds.
Oh, hell no!
Did I just take you back to a time where a lot of 80s and 90s kids grew up with the horror genre being a regular aspect of their lives? Sadly, at least when it comes to Bollywood or Hindi content, the regularity with which we get to experience compelling Hindi horror films is getting rarer by the day. I'm an absolute sucker for the genre, especially when it's done right. I mean, I grew up when it was playing in my living room at night, when all the cousins got together to watch episodes of Ahart and the Z horror show. I became obsessed with the genre, everything from the classics like The Exorcist, The Shining, or even It, to the current generation's go-to picks in the theaters, from the Conjuring and Insidious franchise to even recently released titles like The Haunting of Hill House and one of my favorite recent films, Hereditary. Me rooting for the rejuvenation of the horror genre in the Hindi film industry has almost reached a desperation point. I experienced the mid-2000s where we had films like Raz, Bhoot, the anthology Darna Mana Hai and Darna Zaruri series. Every year or so we were entertained by some bone-chilling titles. After going through a horrible slump of the horrix genre of films that would titillate audiences for its provocative content rather than horror elements, there has been an absolute dearth of great stories being told in the genre. The last few praiseworthy attempts that I can think of include only Tumbad, Pari, and Bulbul. We have such a rich history of stories revolving around folklore, religion, and mythology that I generally feel we don't even scratch the surface with really tapping into this genre. Before I get to talk about Dybbuk, you also please let me know what are your recent favorite Hindi horror films and what kind of stories would you like creators to explore. Nothing is more disappointing when a lot of Mallus DM you telling you that the source material of Dybbuk, the 2017 Malayalam film Ezra, is not spectacular anyway. It's quite an average product even from the perspective of the Malayalam audience, confusing even them on why it's being remade. While Ezra experienced a great box office run, it's still not considered to be a masterpiece according to the Malayalam film audience. Dybbuk is another addition to Hindi film creators for some reason choosing horror scripts from other states which are already considered to be just above average from the local population, expecting it to turn gold for some reason. This was a similar experience that happened when Lakshmi and Durgamati were also remade, and you know how those products landed up. Dybbuk focuses on Sam Isaac, played by Emraan Hashmi, who works in a nuclear disposal plant and moves to Mauritius with his wife Mahi, played by Nikita Dutta. The couple that has recently experienced a miscarriage are trying their best to assimilate in the new community and country. When the wife brings an item from an antique store to her home, little does she know that she lets loose a spirit, known in Jewish culture as Dybbuk, that latches onto bodies for malicious intent. The investigation of a recent murder, the mysterious events that take place in the couple's life, leading to customs and practices of Judaism being explored, only to understand the motive, origin, and intent of the spirit form the storyline of Dybbuk. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of the film so that you guys can ultimately decide whether to watch it on Amazon Prime Video or not. The good. Cinematography in certain sequences. A lot of the most impressive shots of Dybbuk are actually included in the trailer. Satya Ponmar is the director of photography for this film, and I have to say that in certain parts of the film, the visuals are extremely intricate and tough to capture from a practical perspective. So whether it be birds flocking in the air as a priest enters a mysterious house, a spirit thumping an individual in several directions on a wall, or the iconic sequence of the wife walking on the streets in a white dress, the visuals of this film, while clunky in portions which include the nuclear disposal plant as well as the car driving sequences, are something that need to be appreciated. Themes and folklore. The biggest takeaway I genuinely believe Dybbuk has is that it explores topics regarding several practices in Judaism that will really take you down a wormhole of trying to understand its origins and complexities. This is exactly what the original film did and something that audience took away from that movie. I again reiterate the sheer volume of stories that India has is unparalleled, and it's rather sad that we are not coming with original stories in the genre and are just borrowing from already proven products in the same country. So whether it be a Kichkandi in Bhoot Police, the satanic cult that wants to prolong the life of Ifrit in Pari, or Hastar from Tumbad. It's these interesting subjects that are unique to Southeast Asia and its history that interest audiences. It's sad though that most topics mostly falter in execution to not become generation defining and memorable. Topics like Dybbuk, Shedin, Hamsa, Ruchim, and several other practices in Judaism will definitely pique your interest through this film. Emraan Hashmi and Manav Kaul. I can only say that there are two standout performers of this film, Emraan Hashmi and Manav Kaul. Personally, I feel Nikita Dutta could have been more expressive and demonic with the scenes handed to her, especially if you have seen the performance of Priya Anand in the original. She is far more reactionary and dynamic. Emraan Hashmi is in his comfort zone for the most part, having to react to situations like most horror movies. But he does stand out in the climax, where there is a much needed demand for him to be physical. Manav Kaul's character really steers the ship in the right direction for this film. His introduction actually makes the film a little more exciting, and when you have a talent like him, he is bound to do a commendable job irrespective of the fictional world he is put in. The underwhelming aspects. The trailer. I have to tell you that there is this obsessive need by Hindi film creators to over-explain everything even from a marketing perspective. The difference between the trailers of Ezra and Dybbuk exactly tell you what creators get right versus wrong respectively. The trailer of Ezra, something that I will highly recommend to you, explains nothing from a storyline perspective other than the mystery around the Dybbuk. The relationships, the hurdles they are facing, and the investigation at hand are kept at bay. Whereas when you look at the trailer of Dybbuk, everything from the recent murder of a local, the compulsion of the couple to move to a new place, a recent miscarriage, the mystery of the Dybbuk, what exactly the spirit's intention is, everything is laid out for you, taking away completely from the experience of exploring facets of the film. The movie is almost a scene-to-scene copy of the original, and for whosoever has seen the Malayalam film, I honestly can't think of a reason why you would watch the Hindi remake other than the fact that Zar, who's the dog, other than being a Labrador, is now a German Shepherd. Dubbing and supporting cast. I have to say that the supporting cast has been dubbed really poorly in this film. From the domestic help, the assistant in the antique shop, the neighbor with the German Shepherd dog, all have been dubbed with voice actors rather than the talent themselves, and it's clear as day when they deliver dialogues. One of the most memorable sequences from the original Malayalam film includes an origin story that takes you back to a pre-independent Kochi, and its visuals are absolutely spectacular, something that viewers will constantly remind you of when they saw Ezra. Sadly, the adaptation and the origin story in the Hindi film does not translate well at all. Abruptly cut from an editing perspective, the screenplay almost seems as if it's going at a 2x speed and wants to desperately move on to the next thing. Horror tropes and lack of scares. Even though there has been an integration to have more jump scares and horrifying scenes in the remake, there is little to no thrill that you will feel, something that viewers seek from the horror genre. It is the subject matter and the mysticism around Judaism that is the biggest takeaway, but director Jay depends on the horror tropes of jump scares, mirrors, the chilling sound design of fluttering leaves and creaky doors, but even their impact is rather lackluster. I saw this alone at night and I slept like a baby after. How is it that Burari Deaths on Netflix gave me sleepless nights rather than this film? State-specific context and language. It's also very important to understand that certain films are almost impossible to adapt or remake as they are very specific to the state in which they are made. A Sarpata Parambarai makes sense only being set in Tamil Nadu. A Malik only makes sense being set in Kerala. This is not Shakespeare where the emotions and motivations of characters are the core focus, leading to its global nature of being adapted in several cultures. Certain stories from a social, historical and religious perspective only make sense being in a particular language or state. So whether it be the dwindling Jew population in Kerala and the mysticism around the Dybbuk in a primarily Malayalam-speaking world, it has more of an impact with viewers than an adaptation of the same material in Mauritius in the Hindi language. I hope you're getting what I'm trying to say. Dybbuk is again an addition to the remakes being made of original products that viewers felt were average anyway. If you're looking to be blown away by this film, I would definitely make you manage your expectations. If you're looking for possession stories that integrate religion and folklore extremely well, I would honestly recommend you check out Hereditary on Netflix. Dybbuk will definitely be forgotten in the future days to come. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about the movie. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.